Not speaking, we'll put our mask back on. Is that acceptable to everybody? Just for information, I'll speak first. We'll have Citizen Police Review Board Director Beth Pittinger, followed by Victoria Goins, the Deputy Director of Economic Self-Reliance. I like that title, from the Urban League, Greater Pittsburgh, representing Esther Bush, who, as it turns out, thought she would be here but won't. And then Richard A. Stewart Jr., the NAACP President, NAACP Pittsburgh Branch. Everybody cool with that? And this has been a long time coming, so I appreciate you all coming, because this has been a while to put this together. Years ago, when I was president of the NAACP Pittsburgh Branch, I had a conversation with the now deceased Honorable Bill Robinson, a former Pittsburgh City Council member, former Pennsylvania State Legislator, and former Allegheny County Council member, in which he stated that probably the most consistent concern of the black community over his years of service was its relationship with police, and specifically the issue of police brutality and police misconduct. In my more than 50 years of activism, I echo Mr. Robinson's sentiments. It is with that backdrop that the Black Political Empowerment Project, B-Pep, provided on June 25th, 2014, and that is correct, 2014, a 20-point letter recommending police reform. It was with that backdrop that the Black Political Empowerment Project called for a meeting with the Pittsburgh Bureau of Police Chief Scott Schubert, his top staff, and community partners on February 24th, 2020, to review various police reform recommendations, and to again review those recommendations on police reform on July 8th, 2020, with Mayor Bill Peduto, Safety Director Wendell Histrick, Police Chief Scott Schubert, the Mayor's Chief of Staff Dan Gilman, other police officials, and several community advocates, including NAACP Branch President Richard A. Stewart Jr., Urban League of Greater Pittsburgh President and CEO Esther L. Bush, and Citizen Police Review Board Executive Director Beth Pittinger. The Black Political Empowerment Project, along with leadership from the NAACP, the Urban League of Greater Pittsburgh, and Citizens Police Review Board, are announcing today numerous important police reform commitments which have been agreed to by the Peduto Administration following numerous interactions between B-Pep and the Peduto Administration. It is our hope that these announcements of agreed upon police reform will, as we end this tumultuous year of 2020, provide some sense of hope for the citizens of Pittsburgh, and particularly our young people, that change is on the way. I want to personally thank all of the youth leadership who took to the streets over the summer to express their concerns and outrage time and time again to urge police reform in Pittsburgh. Though our work was begun years ago and has continued since, I think the passion of our youth may have helped to give a new sense of urgency to many of the police reform suggestions for which we have been advocating. Though these youth leaders will continue to advocate for other police reform policies and legislation, we are proud to announce today the progress which has already been committed to, which will help bring about a new level of police reform policies and procedures for the citizens of Pittsburgh. We're going to share with you in detail, because of the importance of what we have been able to pull together over a period of time, a letter from Mayor Peduto of October 9th to me as chair of B-Pep. I'm writing in response to your letter dated July 24th, 2020. I appreciate the energy and passion with which you have advocated for police reform and other critical issues throughout your career. especially during this unprecedented time in our nation's civil rights history. I look forward to continuing to work with you and the Black Political Empowerment Project, B-Pep, toward building on our progress of creating a more accountable, transparent, and community-driven Pittsburgh, all levels of government, to advance our shared interest of building more representative police bureaus and creating more effective training and hiring mechanisms. One, when I took office as mayor in 2014, one of the first actions I took was to transfer the Office of Municipal Investigation, OMI, from the Department of Public Safety to boost OMI's independence. I'm willing to convene leaders from the Pittsburgh Bureau of Police and OMI to further these agencies' mutual goal of hiring officers who are best suited to safely and effectively protect and serve our communities. Strengthened background checks are one aspect of this important partnership, and I am committed to exploring what this would look like. Number two, Chief Schubert, again, this is responding to our letter of July 24th, 2020. Chief Schubert and I are committed to building a more diverse and representative Pittsburgh Bureau of Police. Part of that includes building in gender and racial diversity on oral panels. Under Chief Schubert's leadership, Pittsburgh Bureau of Police has made some progress in creating more diverse oral panels, and they plan to build on that progress to the best of their ability. Number three, my primary charge for the Pittsburgh Bureau of Police is to build meaningful relationships with both adults and children who reside in our neighborhoods. Under the tutelage of Chief Schubert, officers have made extraordinary headway on creating those deep connections with young Pittsburghers. I'm in favor of expanding programs like Cops and Hoops, the Student Police Academy, Cops and Kids Summer Camp. Pittsburgh Bureau of Police has made remarkable progress in the development of partnerships with local schools and the students who attend them. I believe that the efforts of Officer Michael Gay of Zone 5 to connect with students in Garfield, Officer David Schifrin of Zone 4 to host a popular chess club with children in Hazelwood should be replicated in every neighborhood in Pittsburgh. I am committed to working with Chief Schubert, Public Safety Director Wendell Hisrick, Assistant Public Safety Director Shatara Murphy, and Sergeant Tiffany Klein Costa to do just that. Number four, I'm committed to bolstering our recruitment efforts and strengthening the collaboration between our city departments of public safety and human resources and civil service to create a more racially diverse Pittsburgh Public Bureau. I believe hiring a full-time recruiter is a solid idea worth pursuing if our budget allows. Again, he's responding to our recommendations. Number five, I believe that the Pittsburgh Bureau of Police officers are some of the most dedicated, hardworking, community-focused public servants. It's critical that our current Pittsburgh Bureau of Police officers play a role as cheerleaders and salespeople as we strive to hire more African-American officers. I support efforts to call on our officers to support recruiting efforts in all forms of media. What that meant was we just don't want black officers to help recruit black officers. We want all officers to recruit a diversified police force. Number six, in anticipation of increased retirements, Chief Schubert and I welcome and value the expertise and ideas of all community leaders as the city moves to hire a diverse group of officers who are committed to strengthening ties with the community. It is imperative that we collaborate directly with organizations and leaders on the ground in our neighborhoods to recruit and hire more officers that are representative of Pittsburgh. Number seven, I believe that the National Network of Historically Black Colleges and Universities, HBCUs, would be helpful in furthering our goal of creating a pipeline of racially diverse officers. I will direct the Department of Public Safety and Human Resource and Civil Service to reach out and build connections with regional and national HBCUs. Again, one of our suggestions. Number 8, Chief Schubert and I will review Pittsburgh Plan for Peace and identify the ways in which the Pittsburgh Bureau of Police and other city departments can engage in this plan. There may be alignment with the work of my brother's keeper coordinator, Hosea Gilliam, and my administration's renewed efforts to engage youth voices in city government. Number 9, the public officers, public information officers in the Department of Public Safety have made incredible strides in telling the stories of our officers and their efforts to boost community relations through a wide range of media. The public information officers will explore a partnership with the Black Media Federation and other sources to broaden and diversify the audience and assist with recruiting outreach efforts. Number 10, since last year, the Department of Public Safety's social media team has spotlighted Pittsburgh Bureau of Police officers through the Get to Know feature on its Facebook and Twitter pages. These social media posts highlight a particular officer or public safety employee, their role, how they serve the community. This Get to Know feature, which often results in large numbers of likes, retweets, and shares, has always included a link for interested readers to learn more about joining the Pittsburgh Bureau of Police. We will continue to spotlight our officers through this effective media tool. One of the things we advocated was how can we create a different image for police other than just people who arrest you. Number 11, since hiring a full-time social media specialist within the Department of Public Safety and building out a team within the mayor's office to focus on social media promotion, the city has greatly expanded its reach on Twitter and Facebook. For instance, the City of Pittsburgh's Twitter and Facebook pages have over 110,300 and 21,551 followers, respectively. The Pittsburgh Bureau of Police Twitter and Facebook accounts have over 23,700 and 40,400 followers, respectively. We will continue to utilize Facebook and Twitter to tell stories and assist in recruiting efforts. Number 12, I am proud of efforts by Chief Schubert, Assistant Director Murphy, Sergeant Klein Costa, and other members of our administration to enhance community engagement and develop meaningful relationships with community leaders and residents. Since taking office, I have tripled the number of community resource officers and neighborhood resource officers who are embedded within specific neighborhoods and vested in a community-focused substation in Northview Heights, developed a dedicated civil affairs unit, built out our group violence intervention initiative, people call it GVI, participated in youth programming, and more. The aforementioned leaders and I are committed to investing in new substations in Homewood and other neighborhoods, strengthening partnerships with community organizations, residents, participating in and hosting more community events. Chief Schubert and I firmly believe in boosting community police relations. There's much more work to do. We are committed to doing it. Number 13, we are committed to implementing policies and procedures that eliminate bias, enhance our ability to diversify the Pittsburgh Bureau of Police, and help us to hire culturally sensitive and aware officers who are best suited to serve the community. Chief Schubert and his team will continue to study best practices and identify ways to improve the background check process and the psychological testing. The importance of that is to eliminate people who should not be on the force before they get there. Number 14, Chief Schubert and I agree that certain processes inhibit our ability to hire African American officers. This includes the number and cost of credits needed for employment. As such, we will look into best practices in other cities and explore funding or fundraising efforts to help defray the cost of credits and reimburse the cadets. My administration has begun a thorough review of the current 60 credit requirement, which we agree can inhibit our ability to hire African American officers. After conducting the thorough review, we will present options for creating a fairer process that may include elimination of the requirement, reduction of the number of credits, tuition impairment, a reimbursement, and new cadet programs. One of the things that I advocated in my other role with the task force was to find ways to reimburse cadets for their costs and to possibly keep the 60 credit so we have a professional force, but that we find ways to cover the cost. Number 16, I am proud of the impact that the Public Safety Academy at Westinghouse High School has had on youth who are interested in pursuing careers in public safety. I plan to enhance the curriculum at the Academy at Westinghouse High School with new equipment. I believe in the power of hands-on experiences offered at this academy to expose our young Pittsburghers to careers in public safety, and I hope to expand this model to other schools citywide. This type of tangible experience at a young age will help us create a diverse pipeline of cadets with ties to the Pittsburgh community. We will plan to explore the expansion of our internship program and look at other types of cadet programs to grow our network of future officers. Number 17, I was a staunch supporter of the ballot referendum passed overwhelmingly by Pittsburgh voters in 2013, which established the requirement of officers to live within the city limits. One of the things that we've advocated collectively. I was critical of the state Supreme Court's ruling that struck down this requirement. I'm in favor of studying whether we can legally offer preference points based on residency and other factors. I also am in favor of adopting any policy that helps to recruit Pittsburgh residents as Pittsburgh Bureau of Police officers. Number 18, as stated above, Chief Schubert and I are exploring ways to improve the oral panel process to ensure that we hire the best officers who can make a lasting difference in our neighborhoods. I think adding residents to the oral panels is an idea worth exploring. We think that's an important option to add citizens to the oral panels. And he is open to looking at that idea seriously. I will direct the Pittsburgh Bureau of Police leadership to study what this would look like. Number 19, under the leadership of Chief Schubert, Commander Eric Holmes, the Pittsburgh Bureau of Police has greatly expanded training for officers on implicit bias. The Multicultural Liaison Unit, which was initiated by then Councilman Dan Gilman and established by my Welcoming Pittsburgh team, is currently developing a curriculum for ongoing cultural competency training. Ongoing is the important piece here. That will lead to more sensitive and culturally aware officers. I'm committed to expanding the RITE training opportunities for cadets and current officers following the recommendations of the President Obama's 21st Century Policing Task Force to implement effective training programs. We will also continue to promote key anti-bias concepts to reach our officers through a variety of media. Number 20, we will continue to promote the You and the Police brochure to all officers and ensure that they are studying this and other essential documents on the job. Ongoing learning and training is one of the most effective methods to ensure that officers protect and serve our residents in a safe and community-driven way. B-Pep, in the presence of this gentleman, Richard A. Stewart Jr., and our CPRB executive director, some years ago, Beth Pittenger, I think it was 2 years ago, we had a meeting with the chief, with Wendell Histrick, also with the superintendent of police for Allegheny County. And at that moment, 2 years ago in November, they made a commitment that some think may have been the only commitment in the nation of that nature, where every officer is required to read the brochure, sign off, and take a quiz that they've read it. And administration is committing that that will continue. That's a pretty big deal. 21, leadership and staff of the Pittsburgh Bureau of Police and the Department of Public Safety. My staff and I welcome continued engagement with B-Pep and yourself as needed. We're always open to ideas for and conversations on creating an accountable, transparent, compassionate, and community-focused Pittsburgh Bureau of Police. Again, thank you for your valuable insight and thoughts on strengthening ties between our officers and the communities they protect and serve, diversifying the Pittsburgh Bureau of Police, and improving training opportunities. We greatly appreciate your energy. We look forward to continuing to work with you. Now, I mentioned that 2014, June 25th, B-Pep had sent 20 recommendations to the mayor and then safety director, a different safety director at the time. I'm asking Beth Pittinger, the executive director of the Citizen Police Review Board, who has gone through that letter from Dan Gilman, the chief of staff, who followed up on our July 8th meeting and then sent a detailed response to us. It'll be in your packet, but she's providing highlights to those responses in addition to the ones I've just shared with you.
Thank you, Tim. Job well done. As Tim mentioned, we had this discussion going on for several years, and some of what I have to share with you is redundant to what Tim reported from the mayor's letter, but that's a positive thing. And as we all know, it's the details that make the difference and influence the quality of policing. And we have commitments from the mayor to continue on the path of restoring and tinkering with the culture so that it's a little bit more responsive and appropriate to our current community needs. The commitments that Mr. Gilman extended back in to the response to the letter from 2014 included the reorganization of the Office of Municipal Investigation. And they have, in fact, removed it from its organizational structural place in the Department of Public Safety and moved it over so it was more independent. They also expanded the role of OMI, and they've created a role for consultation with police supervisors, with the OMI staff, with the director of OMI. They are identifying through patterns and trends that they see in complaints and their findings what policy revisions and training revisions would be appropriate. They have also initiated the issuance of an annual report by OMI to illustrate their findings and trends, which over time is a good source of information for the public that's interested. That they also utilize OMI findings to assist centralization and consistency of discipline. We often hear, and the public often doesn't understand why some officers are disciplined one way and others are not for what seems to be the same kind of offense. This will help make it more consistent. And the role of their consultation with supervisors will assist in the supervision of the officers' practices out in the field. They have also, as Tim reported, have undertaken an evaluation and a redesign of their police recruitment plan to extend and expand the diversity and the access to employment at the Bureau of Police. They are assessing the application prerequisites and the feasibility of incentives such as extra points for residency, Pittsburgh Public School graduation, post-secondary education beyond the minimum requirements, which right now is 60 college credits, specialized expertise, etc. They are engaging with the historically black colleges and universities to create a hub for recruitment. They're committing a full-time police officer to recruitment duty, which is incredibly important to have one of our best and brightest out there trying to convince people to come and be a Pittsburgh police officer. They've also expanded their relationship with the Westinghouse Public Safety Academy curriculum. There's always room there to develop perhaps cadet ladders where careers can begin in high school and carry through, and we can engage interested young individuals and support them through their post-secondary education so that they qualify to enter the city police academy. They have expanded community engagement by police officers, as noted. They've extended the roles for their community resource officers and tripled the number of community resource officers in each zone. They've developed and deployed outreach teams to complement and enhance the group violence intervention strategies. They created a civil affairs unit. They created neighborhood resource officers, and they've established 2 community-oriented substations, one in Northview Heights and one in downtown. On a patrol level, they have ended hotspot policing and they eliminated jump-out squads, and they retired the 99-car duty assignments. You may recall the incident that involved a young man named Jordan Miles years ago. That was associated with the 99-car deployment. They no longer exist. They have civilianized positions throughout the Bureau that have been formerly held by sworn officers, such as the tow pound operations, the warrant office, and scheduling offices. They revised their field contact form to account for pat downs, so that whenever an individual is patted down in the field, they will have to report it on field contact and with the reason for the pat down. They can't just do a stop and frisk without being accountable for it. They implemented a number of minimum frequency of supervisory reviews of body-worn camera video and motor vehicle camera video. So the supervisors are doing random checks to be assured that policies and procedures are being adhered to by their subordinate officers. They have identified and assigned an assistant city solicitor to serve as legal advisor to officers who may require some procedural guidance when they're executing their law enforcement powers. The Academy has expanded the topical training content to include cultural awareness and sensitivity, mental and behavioral health issues, homelessness, what those challenges bring and why people find themselves in those conditions, poverty, procedural justice, implicit bias, crisis intervention, active listening, and de-escalation. They've also developed and are implementing a material that's easily like a PowerPoint or something like that, that officers can review on a regular basis with constitutional policing topics such as search and seizure standards, so that they remain current, and when they're confronted with such a situation in the field, they are more apt to comply with policy than not. They created a multicultural liaison unit to disseminate cultural awareness and promote appropriate practices across the public safety services. Through a grant from the Hillman Foundation that the police obtained, they created a domestic violence unit, and it is staffed with both sworn officers and civilians. And as noted, they've continued promotion of you in the police brochures. So those details are the things that influence the quality of policing and the preparation of our officers to go out into the community. And those are not things that are immediately visible. It takes time, because we're changing a culture of law enforcement that over the years became one way, and now we're excavating those practices and traditions that have created some mistrust and concern among the community at large. And on behalf of the Citizen Police Review Board staff and board members, congratulations, Tim, for a job well done. And we are certainly stand at the ready to support any initiative that is compatible with the independent mission of the Citizen Police Review Board.
We're going to ask Victoria Goins, the Deputy Director for Economic Self-Reliance for the Urban League of Greater Pittsburgh, representing Esther Bush, the President and CEO of the Urban League, who was not able to be with us today, that she will present a statement on behalf of the Urban League of Greater Pittsburgh.
Thank you, Tim. The Urban League of Greater Pittsburgh appreciates Mayor Peduto's commitment to working with B-Pep, the Urban League, and other community-based organizations in reimagining 21st century policing and community police relations. By listening to the community, openly discussing key issues, and responding with concrete step-by-step changes, you are leading the city of Pittsburgh in building greater police accountability, the foundation of trust between police and the community, and on this foundation, a more equitable, safer, and healthy city for all Pittsburghers. The Urban League of Greater Pittsburgh values more than 100-year-old working relationships shared with your office. We encourage your continued engagement with organizations like us as we work towards safe and vibrant neighborhoods for all Pittsburghers. Thank you so much, Tim.
Thank you. I'm going to ask our NAACP President, Pittsburgh Unit, to speak, Pittsburgh Branch. Richard A. Stewart Jr. in his own way, and also to share with you the letter sent to us from Mayor Peduto on the 27th of December, preparing for tonight's press conference. Richard A. Stewart Jr. Good evening. I am personally elated that all these incentives that we worked on is going to be moving through. Of course, there's going to be some bumps and lumps to get over, but in retrospect, we're getting there and things are going to get done. This letter here is from the mayor, and congratulations to him and all our partners involved in this. Statement from the mayor. As the mayor, I am committed to working with B-Pep and the larger community on reimagining 21st century policing. We will work together on new incentives and to learn better practices from around the world. At this time, that means the department is going to be contacting other agencies outside of Allegheny County, Western Pennsylvania, or Pennsylvania in itself. You're going to contact agencies, I guess, down south, out west, up north, to bring in what they're doing if it's working. So that's how far this thing is going. At the same time, we know there's a baseline of efforts already underway that can and will have a difference. This includes the many recommendations in the Community Police Reform Task Force reported, and many of the issues B-Pep has previously outlined. I look forward to working with Tim and others on the areas we all agree on and have already started to implement change, including recruitment, training, community engagements, and many, many more that my partners here have previously read to you. These partnerships and incentives are critical steps towards our common goal of safe and vibrant neighborhoods for all Pittsburghers and around the surrounding areas. Because if we can get this done here, we will be a model, trust me, for other areas in Western Pennsylvania and beyond. So if we can get the community to stay behind us, the young people, we cannot forget them, the young people to get in behind this and be patient, work with it, change is on its way. Trust me. Thank you. Thank you. Just hand those out to everybody. This is your packet.
You can pass them? Sure.
Thank you. So we thank all of you for taking out part of your holiday week. We thought this was a great way to end the year with on some positive notes for accomplishments and major commitments. Does anyone have any questions that haven't been covered? We've covered a lot.
Tim,
Yes.
if you could just kind of summarize what is happening right here, because we're talking about a lot of recruitment, training, community engagement, but what do you see as just the
part of the work that has been done, part of the commitments that have been made are based on persistency and consistency. You cannot get to this level of detail without meeting, email, phone calls, follow up. It takes a certain patience. And we know that often in the midst of the passion that all of us feel about police brutality, police misconduct, it does not encourage patience, particularly on the part of our younger adults and young teenagers. So the good news is, because of that persistence of advocacy and follow-up, we have concrete commitments. You add all these up, there's about 30 commitments here that, when put together, in addition to whatever will be coming out of the administration's commitments to follow up on the mayor's task force, of which I was a member. That's an addition. There's some overflow, but these were commitments being worked on going back for years, and certainly going back to last February, that we've able to get accomplished. I think it's important, as we said in our statement, for people to feel there is some progress. Progress wasn't even as fast as I wanted it to be in terms of the back and forth that got this onto paper, to be honest. But we got it. Now we must build on that. Now, Bill Peduto and Chief Schubert and Wendell Hisrick, Safety Director, and their staff must follow through in detail. The commitments have been made. The next step is action. Some of it has already taken place. But we want to encourage, acknowledge what has been committed to, and encourage what must be committed to moving forward.
You worked with Mr. Hisrick and also Chief Schubert. What has been the response from the FOP though?
We have not worked with the FOP except when, during the Jordan Mouse case, that occurred January 12, 2010. And out of that came 4 pieces of reform legislation that Reverend Ricky Burgess, when we met on the 26th of January with kids from Kappa, we walked from Kappa on a Tuesday, January 26th, in 2010. We came to council and spoke. The kids spoke. I spoke. Black and white kids spoke. We asked for new police legislation. Out of that came 4 pieces of legislation. Beth Pittinger worked right beside me with that, and I think at one point Beth said we had 21 meetings, 21 to lead to that 4 pieces of police reform legislation. That's why I said you have to stay at the table. You have to be at the table. To young people who feel they shouldn't sit and be at the table with others, I say, don't think that way. Be at the table. You can help have your input in the decision making if you're not at the table. As long as I'm at the table, if young people want to be with us, they will have a room at the table, a seat at the table, because this affects their future. It affects their lives every day. But they have to understand the processes. It requires patience in the midst of upset, patience in the midst of frustration, patience in the midst of history. But the work will not get done without that detailed follow-up, detailed conversations and emails, and saying, this isn't it yet. What else? What else? What else? As we approach 2021, the question is, now, this is what we have. What else? Okay, does that cover everybody? Thank you so much. We wish you a great holiday, and hopefully 2021 will be healthier. It will be wealthier for all of us, and will be a lot calmer for our psyches. As in, regardless of where you come from in the political ladder, this was, as on my B-Pep hat as chair, I never thought I'd see such a thing. And hopefully we never see it again. We have to calm down as a nation. We have to build bridges, not only between the community and police, but between us as white and blacks and folks of whatever race and ethnicity, and between our political parties.
Recognize our common humanity.
Recognize our common humanity.
And I got one question.
Yes.
For the last few years, there's been, like he has on your thing, Student Police Academy, Cops and Kids, Coffee with Kids, Cops and Hoops. What other type of programs do you think would come out of this for police and community engagement such as those?
The honest answer is, I don't know. What we advocated from the Black Political Empowerment Project, and when our partnership with the Urban League and NAACP and CPRB was, we want those kind of programs replicated, duplicated, and implemented ongoingly. So when kids see police, they don't react as though there's about to be a beating here. And then, so when police see our black kids, they don't expect to see someone who's about to attack them or interact inappropriately, that we have to build those relationships. That's why it's important with the unit police brochure. The kids are being given the same brochure that the police are reading. So both sides know what to do when stopped by the police. It's very important. The building of communication, the building of bridges, the building of understanding, even though, let's be honest, with all that we've seen this past year, how many hours did we spend watching what happened after George Floyd on May 25th, 2020? Then the stories that came out on Breonna Taylor and all the others. And I think for the first time in America, many white people saw what black people have talked about for decades and centuries, that there is a difference in how we're treated. And that difference has not gone away. But hopefully with the work that we've done over the last few years and in the last 3/4 of a year, almost a year now, we're getting to January this week. We met February 24th. And then, of course, what we did in 2014 and the years intervening, that work will begin to build a new future. So the kids aren't afraid of the police, and the police aren't afraid of the kids, and people are treated with respect. And the police serve what's on the side of their cars. Protect and serve. And protect and serve us all, regardless of race, religion, ethnicity, sexual orientation, wealth, or anything else. Black kids should not fear police, while rich people look in the mirror who happen to be white, don't even think about it. There's a problem. We have to change that past, create a new history going forward.
Okay. Can I say something?
Absolutely. I don't know how important this may be, but it just came to mind. I was stationed in California. I was getting ready to get out of Marine Corps. And I said, well, you know what? I'll pick up some applications. And the department I went to, I was seeking to try to get on. It was Costa Mesa, California, right on the other side of Santa Ana, on the other side of Tustin, in Orange County. So I went on in, talked to the people, asked the lady I would like to pick up an application. The lady sitting behind the glass said, okay. She said, let me see your transcript. I said, what are you talking about? She said, well, let me see, do you have 60 credits? I said, no, high school diploma. She said, you couldn't even sniff the paperwork without 60 credits. That was in 1973. Okay, that's how the police department's out there. You have to start off there. Now, the incentive was, if you had that, you got a 5% bump. If you had a bachelor's, 10%. If you had a master's, it kept going up to a PhD. That means if you start off making, say, hypothetically, $10 an hour, by the time you got on it with a PhD, you would probably be making as a rookie $50 an hour. Because of they believe in education. We must stick to the game of having educated, qualified individuals to carry their gun and badge, okay, in order to be able to communicate with people. Okay, we have to have that. Okay, and I understand we're trying to, go here and there to get individuals on, but you have to be educated. That's what I need to tell you about that. That's been going on for years. Thanks, everybody, and Happy New Year's. Don't drink too much. Drink medication. Wait for Dr. Fossey to shoot us in the arm to get this thing over. Hopefully by next year we'll be able to come together and not feel...
Yeah,
We may still be wearing masks, but at least we can get people together and not feel totally...
And you know what? People don't thank you guys enough either. I mean, this last year
Yeah,
has put you at an extreme risk. And
that's true.
you're going to places that are, not your routine. You're just going into inconsistencies and risk, and you do it to make sure the public can be informed and give them the truth. And we thank you for that.
I appreciate you. I really do. I appreciate y'all. Because you get the word out.
Yep.
Thank you so
so much.
Thank
We
you.
felt this was important for tonight, and we thank you all for being here. Good night.
All right.
Thank you. Thanks. Happy New
Thank
Year.
you for the opportunity.
Thanks for watching the video. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so I can bring you more videos on subjects like this and many other topics. Please leave any comments in the comment section. Any questions or comments, I'll get back to them as soon as I possibly can. Thanks a lot for watching. Hope you have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.